The college football experience and college basketball experience Saturday morning pregame show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with that promo code TCESGPN. You get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
What's up, everybody? This is Cameron Crowley from Loyola Chicago Ramblers, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride. Shout out to the Broad Stop. Thank you, guys.
Yes, yes, yes. Welcome to the college football, college basketball experience pregame show. Crossing over all sports streams, everything. It's like Pavia pissing on Georgia Tech last night. YouTube.com/the college experience. Jump on over there. Good morning. If you're just waking up, if not, good evening, whatever, all that good shit. We got a loaded slate of games today for both sports. I think I actually love when you get the fusion. You get most of November and December on the Saturdays where you get basketball mixed with football. Just tell the wife, the kids, whoever, I'm doing shit today. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Nobody knows nothing. Somebody knows. Double the price, but no one touches Dundee.
Let's go. Shout out to the chat. They're rocking. D. Johnson, Benedict, Danto, Clark, Helms, Elliott, giving me a Christmas gift. Floating shelves. I miss my floating shelves. Joe Allison said bongs away. Let's go. Smoke them if you got them. I don't judge. All right. Yeah, hopefully you caught last night's college basketball experience episode because we were going through a lot of these games. There has been line movement, and so some people said Dundee only takes the underdogs. Well, that's situationally, you know what I mean? And I do have 5 wagers on favorites in college basketball today, but I will say the dog card seems to be more appealing to me than the favorite card right now. I don't know if that can be said for football. We'll get to it, but yeah, let's just jump right in. I'm not sure if Terrell's going to join us because I know he's driving to the North Carolina Central and North Carolina A&T game. So, yeah, try not to cause an accident here while he's joined from the road. I've done that before. I remember Stacking the Green's wedding. It's like up in Central California. I'm driving, trying to host a fucking show while you're driving. Luckily, only the extreme pros can do this. I'm not sure if Terrell probably could, but yeah. North Carolina cops, it's different. California, I feel like, they have this reputation, but I feel like highway cops in California, they could give a fuck. From my experience, all right. Ever since Chips, the TV show, they stopped caring. Whereas, or ever since OJ, maybe I don't know, but North Carolina, Virginia, they'll get you. They'll get your ass. We got games tipping off in 53 minutes. I just want to make sure you get your wagers in because college hoops, Eastern Kentucky, is a rival of Louisville. I don't think Eastern Kentucky's that bad of a team. This game's on the C-Dub, in case you're wondering. Look, I mean, Louisville 7-5, Eastern Kentucky 6-6, but EKU covered for me a lot of times this year. The Clemson game stands out. I know the last time they played was 2019 with Chris Mack. They should play every year. First off, Louisville won by 32. I see 21.5 right now for Eastern Kentucky, the Colonels. And I'm going to bet that because I don't think Louisville's 21.5 points better than Eastern Kentucky. Yeah. And you can find, I saw 22.5 earlier. Shop around. It's just the page that I'm using right now. It says 21.5, but I think you might be able to find the 22 or at least 22.5 out there. And I like it. I think it's a good play. So, jump on that action I'm going to go chronologically, by the way, jumping over all these sports. So you might not like it, but this is what happens. Yukon, North Carolina just tipped off, or kicked off, I should say, in football. I love a college football game at a legendary baseball stadium. I love any type of football game, whether it's NFL. The NFL should do this. You play all these stupid fucking games in like Berlin and shit. Why can't you play at historic venues like Yankee Stadium, Fenway, Wrigley? If you look at the history of the sport, it's actually like majority of the biggest games in the sport actually occurred at venues like that for like 100 fucking years. So yeah, you would like to think they would pay homage. Instead, they're like, hey, let's play a game in fucking Sao Paulo. Ridiculous. What, we're growing the game. Fuck out of here. No one in fucking Brazil is sitting there playing a bunch of football. All right. Just stop lying to me. Growing the game, my ass, with your silly ass kickoff. You're fucking declaring an onside kick. Anyway, you can get a live number on North Carolina, the Tar Heels +1.5. I like it. It's an audition game for Bill Belichick. I know he's not there. And I think, I was doing Sports Grid yesterday and they were saying Belichick, that's bullshit. He's not showing up to the game. I think he doesn't want to be a distraction because if he shows up, that whole area loves him. So it would be a distraction for the team. I think he's sitting back with his binoculars and this is your one game audition. This is your one game audition to see if you could play for Bill Belichick. So that was my logic on taking Carolina. Also, UConn's been hitting the portal some. I know UConn's probably more equipped to play in the cold than North Carolina, but I just think Carolina's a good play here. So load up on that live wager because that game already shit. I mean, UConn's inside the 20 right now. The Pinstripe Bowl is kicking off in 50 minutes. Boston College, Nebraska. I actually thought this was one of the harder bowl games to project. Yankee Stadium there in the Bronx. They're calling 34 degrees. I took Boston College +3.5, and the logic was just simply this. The logic was BC, as the season's gone along, has kind of picked up steam to me. Like Thomas Castellanos, their star quarterback, good player. He quits the team. He's now transferring to Florida State, but he quits the team like after getting benched in a game for a bad performance. And they go to Grayson James, the old FIU QB. And to me, they fought hard and they fought hard for Bill O'Brien as the season went on. Now, Nebraska on the other end has been a team that started out hot and been complete ass down the stretch. What are they 1-5 in their last 6? So then you saw Nebraska have like a mass exodus in the portal, a bunch of players out. I think BC's fighting more for, their culture is better right now to me than Nebraska. Now, the big question to me is Big Red Nation gonna show up to the Bronx because they haven't been in a bowl game in a while. So that's one angle where, all right, if this turns out to be a big Nebraska crowd, then maybe you could talk. But you're getting 3.5 with Boston College. I think it's worth a money line sprinkle at +145. So that's what I did. Big Ten destroys ACC and Bulls. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I just tend to think Nebraska is not very good, but Shout out to Andrew Dree, basketball and football. What a show. Yes. We don't stop. Shout out to Mookie for life. Just got off work. Time to go to work on the Bills here. So those games are for the noon slate with kicking off within the hour. Let's jump back to college hoops. There's some other games going on, Maryland, Eastern Shore and Maryland. That line went up overnight. The Terps are now laying 42.5. I'm not betting that game. Coppin State is getting 30.5 against Georgetown. Shout out to Clark. I know he's a big Hoya fan. I think, if you're searching to have more action for the noon kick or tip, whatever you want to say, I actually think this would be the wager that I would add potentially to the card. I just feel like this is where you get kind of that hangover game traditionally. Coppin State's fucking horrible, but 30.5 is a big number. If you're searching for this was a 17-point game a year ago. 17-point game. It's on FS1. If you're searching for more action, maybe that would be the one. I have not placed a wager on this. I don't know that I will, but if you're searching, I think if I had to power rank these noon games, and then you have at 1:00 Delaware State, St. Joe's. Delaware State's getting 20.5. I took Delaware State, but no strong conviction to this one. They have won 4 straight. The Hornets have, and they got the Deshaun Jackson news. So, ride some of that momentum. Now jumping over to the afternoon college hoops games, Alabama A&M, Georgia Tech is tipping off at 2. A&M's catching 21.5. I took the points just because David Stoudemire. I feel like whenever you take these, whenever they're playing these mid majors, they just don't really show up. So I took the points in Alabama A&M. Didn't bet this, but I did bet these next slew of games. Ole Miss and Memphis are doing battle. One of the better games of the day for college hoops. Excited to watch this game. They played a year ago. Ole Miss won by 3, and that was, I believe, in Oxford or Jackson. Now it's at Memphis. But here's my angle here. It's similar to the Mississippi State. I took Mississippi State against Memphis, and Chris Jans, he coaches amazing defense. And then you have athletes to me that can match up with Memphis, which is rare. I feel like there's only like 20 teams in the country probably that can match up athletically with Memphis, maybe 25. I think Ole Miss can do that. And I think the way Ole Miss is better this year than they were a year ago. So I like actually Memphis is a 1.5 point favorite. I think Penny Hardaway gets a little bit of a bad rap, but in games like this, I truly like the team that athletically is, what's the difference here? There's going to be some Ole Miss fans here, even though it'll be a Memphis crowd. And to me, I think Ole Miss, the coaching does matter down the stretch. And I think that will be the difference. I am wagering on Chris Beard and Ole Miss. Shout out to Bet Boy Tony C, my guy. Good to see you here, man. Also, Clark, I'm curious where you're going here because last night on the show, I believe we were calling this at 17 and a half. I wake up today. I see Loyola, Maryland, who's not bad. If you've watched this team, they're not fucking horrible. You look at what they've done. They had a 3-point loss to Columbia, who's pretty damn good in the Ivy so far this year. They did get trucked by VCU, but that arena can get you. Hampton, they lost by 8 most recently. Beat Mount St. Mary's, who I'll talk about in a minute. 20.5 for Loyola, Maryland. Now gone up 3 points overnight as they go into Chicago to take on Depaul. Now, Depaul is 3rd in the nation in 3 points. 3 points. 3-point attempts, let alone 12th in the nation in 3-point field goal percentage. DePaul has been drilling a lot of these teams. They're 8-4, but they are in the middle of a 2-game losing streak. 20-point loss to Northwestern, and then they took Rick Pitino got him prior to that. But they have been drilling a lot of the mid majors. Like if you go through, they have some big ass wins. They blew out Mercer by like 30, blew out Duquesne, blew out Northern Illinois, but Southern Indiana gave them a game. That was opening night. Valpo only lost by 19. To me, I think it's more on that pedigree. 20.5 for the Greyhounds. I'm loading up on the Greyhounds, and a lot of this angle is really situationally. If this was on November 10th or something, I don't know that I would take this, but it's right after Christmas. You've been sitting there having cocktails, eating goddamn, everything, pumpkin pie, all this shit. I just think it's kind of like a historically in college hoops, it's a sleepy spot. They got a game against Yukon on deck on New Year's, right? You got conference play starting. So it's traditionally just a sleepy spot, no matter the opponent to me. So I'm going to load up on these Greyhounds 20.5. Surprised it went up that many points overnight, to tell you the truth. I already bet this at 17.5. I got the worst of the number. I'm going back in. Going to bet it again with 20.5. Let's go. I love this 2:00 slate because we just mentioned Mount St. Mary's. I think Mount St. Mary's is a decent team. I think they're a team that could potentially get to the NCAA tournament this year. They just beat the Miami Hurricanes in Jimmy Laranaga's final game. Now they're taking on Jimmy Laranaga's previous school, George Mason, where he had probably his biggest success. I don't know why. I get it. Like the Mount St. Mary's lost to Maryland by like 20 some points, lost to Georgetown by 18. But when I see this line, especially knowing the spot we're talking about, and Tony Skinn, maybe he's called Jimmy Larinaga and said, what intel you got on this Mount St. Mary's team? They probably have, but just 16.5 points to me is absurd to me. Like this to me is like, I think this will be a lot closer of a game. I don't even think it's that crazy to drop. If you're just looking at a crazy money line that's realistic, like it wouldn't shock me if Mount St. Mary's. This was a 2-point win for Mount St. Mary's last time they played. Now, granted, that was a few years back when it was Paulson, the coach now at Holy Cross. And Tony Skinn has got this team way more athletic than they were, just way more, just taller. But I just think 16.5 is a big ass number for this game. So yeah, gonna load up on Mount St. Mary's. And to me, if we're looking for double digit dogs today, that could potentially win the game outright, this would be one that it wouldn't fucking shock me. I have a couple others we can mention a little bit, but yes, I am loading up on the Mount. Also, Mercer and Georgia State are doing battle, making Georgia to Atlanta. This is one that I didn't plan on betting, but Moneyline Mac had talked me into this. The fact that Georgia State has lost 5 straight games and Mercer's coming in there, even though they've lost 2 straight, including like giving up 102 to Winthrop. I think Moneyline Mac kind of nailed the situation here as Sunbelt play is on deck. Mercer won this game by 4 a year ago. It's the revenge on this. So I did go in on Georgia State -1.5. I didn't think I was going to bet that one, but that's another one that tips off right there. The logic is really just right before conference play. You lost 5 straight. You're taking on an in-state foe who beat you a year ago. And really both teams are kind of bad in my opinion. Both teams are not, Mercer plays at a really fast pace, but that could be to their own detriment in this game. Yeah, that's kind of the logic there. Offensive rebounding to me could be the big reason why Georgia State wins that game. They're a top 40 team when it comes to offensive rebounding. Their defense is complete ass, but yeah. So loaded up on Georgia State -1.5, and then the game Terrell Furman's going to North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T. It's a great rivalry game in football and basketball. Central is laying 1.5, so this line has crossed 0 overnight. last night we were doing the show. A&T was a 1-point favorite, I believe, if memory serves me correct. Let me just double check that. No, actually, I think it was Central that was a 1-point favorite. Regardless, I was pretty surprised. This game's on CBS. I was pretty surprised at just the like North Carolina Central and Lavelle Moten. I think he's a really underrated head coach. I think he should be. I don't know if he's content staying at Central. He might be, but I believe the guy's like he should be coaching perhaps on a higher level. But Central is 6-9, and they've had a down year in my opinion for like Moten teams, but they still are solid. When you look at like their schedule, I think they beat William and Mary, who seems to be decent. They split a home and home with Longwood. Longwood was at the time they played them, I believe Longwood was undefeated or only had one loss. And they have close losses to a Radford team that's good. And they did get destroyed in some other games. Lost to Winthrop by 2. Georgia Southern by 5. I think they're a solid team. And when I look at A&T 3-10, and I watched that whole East Carolina game, so I got a lot of eyes on A&T there. I was kind of shocked that this line was so short. It's got to be the rivalry factor here, but I almost think that's got to be the angle. So we ended up going in on A&T, in front of the home crowd here, at the Corbett Sports Center. Central won this game by 5 a year ago. I would expect the line, honestly, to be 5, 5.5, 6. When it's so short, I went with A&T. Once again, this game tips at 2 p.m. today, nationally televised, CBS. Great fucking rivalry. Also at 2:00, you got Bucknell and Syracuse. Did not touch this one. Bucknell's getting 12.5. I took Bucknell, and I'll be honest. If you're looking, I try to play this game every single day, where you say which double-digit dog could actually win the fucking game. Now I'm not betting this game because Syracuse, I feel like, is just due. They're 5-6. They beat Bucknell by like 50 the last time they played. Bucknell's lost 6 straight, but I was like, if you're trying, like the way Syracuse has played this year, like beating Lemoyne by 4, beating Colgate by 2, beating Youngstown State in multiple overtimes. They got Cornell, I think was a closer game than, it wouldn't shock me if this was a game in the second half. Then who knows? But having said all that, I didn't bet the game. Give me Bucknell on the points though. Also at that same time at Davidson, North Carolina, Eastern Michigan is catching 14.5 points. This line has not moved, and I am on Eastern Michigan plus the 14.5. I don't like Davidson as a double-digit favorite, really ever. So I loaded up on Eastern Michigan plus 14.5. Eastern Michigan, they were fucking horrible a year ago. You look at what they've done. They're 6-4. I'm sorry, 6-5. But they just beat Wright State, and to me, they're playing pretty good ball. They lost to they lost to some shitty teams like Detroit and stuff, but they've also just looked the part at a certain couple spots. Beat Greg Campy in Oakland. Beat Northern Arizona, who at one point we were convinced was like a much improved team. I don't know if we believe that anymore. I just think they can stay within that number. I think Davidson wins that game, but Eastern Michigan will be the more athletic team. So give me the points in EMU. I don't think the money line is live. I think Davidson's culture will win that game, but I just think it's like a 10 to, and somewhere between 7 and 12 is where that game falls. I think. Give me EMU plus 14.5. Those are all 2:00 games. Let's jump back to college football. 2:00, Louisiana taking on TCU. TCU laying 9. This line has gone down a lot, and a lot of that has to do with the players that are opting out or hitting the portal for TCU. It's 47 degrees in Albuquerque. I still think it's a good play to jump on TCU. Louisiana was 10-3. Credit to them. great season that I didn't see coming, but I still just don't know like how good they really are. The Sun Belt was way down to me this year. They just got worked by Marshall 31-3. You look at their best wins. Now their best win is probably Wake Forest, who was not a very good, or App or Coastal, but those teams weren't very good this year. So I actually think TCU, I know they, with the slew of guys they got out, Savion Williams, Besh, their star guy, JoJo Early hit the portal to UNLV. I still think you're catching a lot of value on TCU here. I'm curious why the line has dropped so much. I know some of it has to do with the opt-outs, but I still think they're a lot better. TCU's also won 3 in a row. Looking for a 9-win season. So I'm going to lock up TCU -9. Yeah. And as Andrew says in the chat, Josh Hoover playing, he could sling it. And Louisiana did lose some key guys in the portal. You're right. Shout out to Elliott. Yeah, so all over that one. Then at 3:30, this is probably one of the best bowl games. I'm glad to see the pendulum swinging back in the sport where you got players actually playing. I will never understand the logic of like, hey, just in general, that you don't get to play, you're going to sit a football game out. But also like the fact you'll play on like November 30th, but on like December 23rd, you're not, or December 28th, you're not. I don't understand what changes in 30 days. Like, you weren't, in many of these cases, you weren't going to make the playoffs anyway. You know, like TCU was not going to make the fucking playoffs on November 30th, but you played that game. And now that it's a bowl game, you're like, nah, you know, what changes in 30 days that can really benefit you? It's like, you get a chance to play the fucking sport. I don't understand. You only have a few of those moments in your life, you know, nationally televised game. I will never understand it. I will never understand it. But Iowa State, Miami is one that I think you're kind of seeing like a retro bowl game here, where it seems like almost everybody's a go. I think you had a couple guys hit the portal, but they were like reserves for Iowa State. Miami's backup quarterback Reese Poffenberger is gone, but I mean, Cam Ward's playing, which is fantastic for all of us. I believe Restrepo said he was going to play too. I don't know if there's been an update on that, but yeah. Look, and this game's in Orlando, but I'm going to take Iowa State in the 4 points. One of the biggest coaching differences to me, I think Matt Campbell gets the most out of his team. I think Mario Cristobal gets the least out of his team. So I'm loading up on Iowa State plus the 4. Now, am I a little bit worried Cam Ward could go off? Sure. Especially seeing how Iowa State's defense did in against Arizona State. But Iowa State's defense had been good prior to that. I don't know what the fuck happened. I also think the Dome, the Big 12 championship, Iowa State's not a speed team, and that Dome really hurts them. But yeah, I'm taking Iowa State plus the 4. I'm just going with the better coaching here. Excited to watch that game. Hopefully they play them the whole game. And shout out, you're right. Shout out to Restrepo and Cam Ward, and shout out to any of these players. The kid, the star tight end for Bowling Green. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Was it Fannin? I will never understand the logic of like, it's one of the more, I would have never guessed that ever happening. If you'd talked to me 20 years ago and said, this will be the future, I would just be like, what, why? We got the Snoop Dogg Bowl in Tucson, Arizona, Miami, Ohio, Colorado State. Colorado State fans have shown up to this fucking thing. I don't know if you've caught the tweets. Miami, Ohio is laying 2.5. No, I'm on Colorado State. Let's go. I know they don't have Torrey Horton, but he's been out for like the back half of the season. But I just think Colorado State's just a little bit better than Miami, Ohio. And the fact the game's in Arizona, Now, I will say Miami, Ohio, last time they stepped on the field, got their ass whooped. Maybe there's some, maybe they just don't want to leave on that bad of a note. But I think Colorado State's a little bit better of a football team than Miami, Ohio this year. And the fact it's over there in their time zone, and I think they have the crowd. Give me the Rams to get it done despite some of the injuries. We have Yukon up 3-0. They settle for a 32-yard field goal with Joe Fagnano at the quarterback spot, the former Maine Black Bear. Back to college hoops. Perhaps. Well, actually, I just bet this game. Well, Boston College is taking on Fairleigh Dickinson, and this is one where shop around. Right before the show, I didn't. So if you listen to our college basketball show last night, I didn't bet this game, but I was going through the books. I don't know. It wasn't even on purpose, really. It was kind of by accident. And I saw Boston College was only laying 15 over at one book. Jump on over there against Fairleigh Dickinson, even at 16 or 16.5, which I think was what we called it at last night. I think I'm gonna actually I think I'm gonna lay it with Boston College. I think Fairleigh Dickinson is fucking horrible. They're 0-9 on the road. They're a bottom 25 defensive team. They just suck. Now Boston College, not a great team either, but I just think that number's right for BC. I think BC wins this game by 20 points. So yeah. I just added that to the card right before the show. And I bet this game though, and I like this game. This game actually is one that I'm really excited to watch. New Mexico, Colorado State. Colorado State's laying 2.5. Nico Medved coming off a gigantic win, and I was a skeptic of Colorado State this year. That win in Reno though was huge. Now the question is that more about Colorado State's development as a team, or is that Steve Alford in Nevada, who historically have moments where they just completely don't show up? We're going to find out today as they host New Mexico and Richard Pitino. I am going to side with the fact that was a 1-game spot where Nevada just didn't show up. I'm riding the Lobos, and I think you played on the money line at plus 120. Let's go. I think New Mexico is the more talented team. Elevation shouldn't play that big of a role. Because Albuquerque's had a sneaky elevation as well. And to me, it's the battle of the paces. When you don't have Colorado State, I think has an advantage normally with the elevation. Well, when it doesn't, when you're playing Air Force or Wyoming or New Mexico, it doesn't really affect you as much. I don't believe. New Mexico is 3rd in the country in pace. Colorado State is 241st. They kind of on the Tony Bennett shit. I just think that's going to be the difference in the game. Now, New Mexico, obviously terrible free throw shooting team. Got to make your free throws. But to me, top 100 defensive team, top 100 offensive team, they're going to be able to give Colorado State some problems. Joe Allison saying Richard Pitino scares me. Yeah, I mean, look, New Mexico is good for duds too. So I just love the really the Mountain West has kind of came over the past couple of years as a fun basketball conference to watch. Night in and night out. I see Morgan in the chat saying New Mexico was missing True Washington in their last game. Maybe I'm seeing game time decision here. I don't think Colorado State's that good this year, man. I've watched a few of their games, cash on a few of their games. I did eat shit on that TCU game. But I just don't think they're that good. When I've watched them, I'm just not sold that this is a good team. So they did blow out LMU, which is looking like a much better win now. But I think they get bit here today by the Lobos. Lock that thing up. Howard and Hampton on CBS following the A&T Central game. Great spotlight for these HBCUs. This is an intriguing game. I don't have action on it, but I actually think the game is probably a lot better than we realize. Hampton is 7-5 in first place in the CAA right now. Now, obviously, they barely played anything, but Hampton's look good, and Howard is 5-7. But I think they're better than their, tough loss to Drexel last time they stepped on the hardwood. I think they're better than what we realize they are. So I'm kind of fascinated by this game. Remember, Howard plays a crazy non-con: Kansas, Missouri, Cincinnati, Wilmington. I think Howard. I took Howard in the points. No bet there, but excited to watch that one. Nevada, Wyoming. This line has came really, I'm surprised that it moved this much. This is a lock battle between me and Mac. It was at 8.5 last night on the show, or 8, if memory serves me correct. I think I got 8.5 though. And now it's 5.5. I still like Wyoming plus the 5.5, but obviously I don't like it as much. But yeah. I just think going to Laramie, that's one of the toughest environments. Alfred's never won there. It's just a tough place to go and grab a win. So, yeah, I think that's one you're looking at plus 215 right now. I know obviously it's gotten worse, but I think that game is a live possibility for the Cowboys. Fairfield, Columbia at 4:00. Bet Fairfield. 10.5 points. Who the fuck is Columbia? I know they're 10-1. I know they're first place in the Ivy. But why the fuck are you favored by 10.5 points? I just can't get there, man. I just can't get there. Fairfield is live. +4. You want the double-digit dog? If I had to rank the double-digit dog most likely to win, I know I talked about Mount St. Mary's. It's Fairfield by far to me. I would go Fairfield 1. We'll talk about the other ones in a second, but I think plus 425 is possible. Clark's mentioned it in the chat here. Take the points to cover your ass and make the bigger. This is the way I do it. I'll put like $100 on Fairfield plus 10.5, and I'll put $50 plus 425 on the money line for the Stags. I just don't believe that Columbia is this good. Like, okay, you're solid. But do I need to remind you they beat Loyola Maryland by 3? They beat Lehigh by 1. Like, what the fuck is this line? So load up on Fairfield, lock this thing up. Let's go. Also at 4:00, you got Abilene Christian, Texas A&M. We jumped on this. This is one we talked ourselves into. I like Abilene Christian here because A&M has Texas on deck. They are playing Texas, with their next game. I believe it's in College Station, if memory serves me correct. I think it might be a bit too high. I think A&M wins by 16-17. You're getting 21.5, 22 for the Wildcats. Take it. Wildcats. Wildcats. And then Gonzaga, UCLA. This line's jumped up a point. Gonzaga's laying 4.5. This is not in Westwood. This is in Inglewood, the new Clippers stadium. This game's on Fox. Great game. Wish it was in Westwood though. They ruin it. I like Gonzaga, and I still like it at 4.5. Gonzaga needs it more than UCLA for tournament seeding, especially in the WCC where you don't have a lot of these big ones, big games. So that was a double lock from me and Mac. I also love this one. Boise State is heading to San Jose to take on my guy Tim Miles and company, and I'm kind of fascinated by this because you have what Alvaro Cardenas, who was at San Jose State a year ago, transfers to Boise. And Boise's been all right. They're 9-3. I just don't think they've looked as good as we thought on paper. And meanwhile, San Jose State and Tim Miles look like shit out the gate. But they've won 3 in a row. And I think they've won 6 of 7, including some decent wins against Joe Golding's UTEP team, UNC Greensboro. Close loss at the Pit to New Mexico is their only loss. They beat that Cal Poly team that we've been all over. I think San Jose State is live +9, +8.5. I think they can cover this. And it wouldn't shock me if this is a 1-possession game, 2-possession game, final couple minutes. This game was hilarious a year ago because San Jose State was up like 20 at the half. I don't know if you guys remember this. And then in the second half, they scored like 8 points. I don't remember what I'm talking out of my ass. It was something like that where Boise ends up winning by 30. But yeah, I'm going in on San Jose State. I don't know if I want to play the money line. I might just take the 9. I think I already bet the 9. I did add this one to the card. New Orleans is taking on McNeese State and Will Wade. Will Wade and McNeese laying 24 points. Yeah. I decided to bet this because New Orleans is fucking horrible. They've lost 5 straight. They're bottom 6 team in the country on defense, bottom 10 teams. And I think Will Wade and McNeese need a game like this. So I loaded up. I laid that big ass number with the Cowboys. So yeah, let's go. Jumping back to football as North Carolina scored a touchdown on a kick return on a real kickoff. Glad that still happens. Don't let them come take that. East Carolina, NC State. You want to make money? +225 on the money line. Get this NC State bullshit out of here. I got friends. They're doing the pub crawl in Annapolis for the game. Made the trip. Take the 7.5 as insurance, but sprinkle that +225 money line because and then that goes right into BYU Colorado. This line has come down, and now I actually think this was at 5.5 a lot of the week, and I liked BYU plus the 5.5. At 3, at a flat 3, I actually think you should take Colorado because I think Colorado will win by anywhere from, I think I predicted on the pick show 31-28. Colorado wins. Last second field goal in that bullshit dome. But yeah, I love this game. It's kind of a throwback. All the teams, I feel like everyone's playing for BYU. Everyone's playing for Colorado. Thank God Deion Sanders came to college football, and I feel like started this trend, and Fran Brown as well, that playing in bowl games matters. Finish. But at this point, at 3, I actually think your better play is the over 54.5. So there's that. Nightcap in college football while I'm here. Play the points with Army. Coming off the Navy loss, you got Louisiana Tech. 2 of Louisiana Tech's best defensive linemen have hit the portal. I'm going to lay the 14.5. I know they lost Kanye Udo to Arizona State, their running back, but they got other guys. Tyrell Robinson's a stud. So look, I see Lane Gretzky. He's on La Tech money line. Now I don't like that. But best wishes, man. I think Army's going to put it on them. I think Army's going to go have their first 12-win season ever, I believe, because there wasn't that many games back in the day. So load up on that. That's football. There's still some basketball cards, or there's still, I can't talk. There's still some basketball on the card. Yeah, I got a slew of more. I got like a bunch more wagers here on the late night slate. I love Utah State, San Diego State. It's the game I want to watch most all day. This line has gone up a point. San Diego State's laying 5.5. I'm still going to lay the 5.5. I think the Aztecs end up winning by 8, 9, something like that. Obviously I like it better at 4.5, but at 5.5, I still think you can do all right. Florida Gulf Coast is taking on Richmond. This is one I am going to buy into the Eagles of Florida Gulf Coast. I think they're flat out more. I just think they're better than Richmond. I think they're more athletic than Richmond. I'm playing the plus 125. So I'm betting San Diego State. I'm betting Richmond. I'm sorry. I'm betting Florida Gulf Coast. This is a lock battle though. Mac is on Richmond here. Delaware, St. John's. Mac did bet Delaware plus 25.5. I laid off. I picked Delaware plus the 25.5. I don't love the play, but it's Coming to America night. Shout out to the great movie Coming to America. Sequel was dog shit, but San Diego, Grand Canyon, this game in LA. San Diego's getting 16.5. Haven't bet this. If I'm having a winning night, which I think I will be, I might just bet this just because, but it's a big number for a neutral site game in Inglewood. Even though San Diego's ass, I think they could stay within that number. Haven't bet it yet. Probably not going to bet it unless I'm having a good day, but food for thought. I already bet this one. Marshall is terrible on the fucking road. I saw the chat talking about this. Caleb Carter. Yes. Elon -5. Load up. The Phoenix is rising. I'm with you. Marshall's fucking horrible on the road. Let's go. Also Pepperdine's at Santa Clara. Santa Clara laying 15.5. I ended up laying the 15.5 with Santa Clara. Didn't bet this game, but I do like these next ones here. 12.5. Portland hasn't hosted a big school at their stadium in a while. You saw them push Oregon to overtime in Autzen. I think Portland is live here. Plus 12.5. Sprinkle that plus 750 on the money line. You know, Portland.
I want this pilot. It's a matter of national security.
It's a good spot. Wazoo just coming off a big win against Northern Iowa. Jackson State's getting 14 at Cal Baptist. I had a hard time with this one. I ended up taking Jackson State, but no wager. And then we have 3 games remaining, and there's wagers placed on all 3 of them. Pacific and St. Mary's. St. Mary's laying 20.5. It's all about the spot. St. Mary's lost to Utah State. St. Mary's beat this Pacific team by 41 a year ago. I think it's a good spot. Pacific's 0-5 on the road. I know it's not much of a road game, but laying the 20.5 is what we are doing. Myself and Mac. Yes. Shout out to Nathan Cerna. I was on A&M last night too. It was fucking brutal in football. Loyola Marymount is now catching 11.5. It's gone up a full point in San Francisco against the Dons. It's a lock battle for me. I took LMU to stay within that number. Mac is on the Dons of San Francisco. Can't wait to watch this game. And then maybe my favorite play of the night here. One of my favorite plays of the night. Fresno's getting 16.5 at UNLV. I don't understand why. It's not like UNLV packs these games. I'm all over the 16.5 with Fresno. This was a 2-point game a year ago. 16.5. I feel like this year's Fresno team is better than last year's Fresno team. Give me them Bulldogs. And that is our show. How about a Mountain West parlay for all the good folks out there? Fresno State plus 16.5. Right? Add San Diego State to that. Minus the points. San Jose State plus 9. Wyoming plus the points. And you can feel free to add New Mexico in there. That's the one I feel least about. But or you could substitute Portland for all of that stuff. You know? Let's go. Be back tonight talking college hoops. Go check out these games, folks. Appreciate everyone listening. If you can, hit that like and subscribe button. We only got 3 days to reach those numbers, and we're way off base. Gonna be sitting there, some dive bar in Key West, doing the pod. Yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in, and hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. See you tonight, and let's make that cash. All right. Till next time, this is the college basketball and college football experience. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.
Yeah, it's got me thinking about the good shit the minute that I seen your grill again. It made me good trip, good dog the mind back like dog will wind that. Man, I didn't get mad when you near me, hit me can back, but the comings on was strong. Now my shit's coming along, you know the song. The truth is I'm pretty much on fire again. It's eating up for real, I'm alive again. And that's the attraction factor. Vancouver, Michigan with my rap disaster. Yeah, you know you want it how you want it. No need to trip, cause I got it, doggone it. It's all yours and the extras too. All the super music and the sex for who? Just get it straight, cause he caught me in a good mood. Let me demonstrate what this time of year could do. Sing it.